Joining us to discuss is CoreLogic analyst Kevin Brogan. Kevin, good morning to you. So how does that dovetail into the auction expectations this weekend, shall we say?
Oh, look, I think the auction market, is sort of dictated by what people are planning for maybe a month or so ago. I mean, every house that comes to market has been marketed for a period of at least 28 days. And I mean, looking at the market ahead, we're seeing the usual seasonal impact. We're seeing a big increase in auction activity through February. So next week we've got 1,163 auctions in Melbourne, which is a big increase on the 743 we had last week. And in Sydney we've got 924, which again is a big increase on the 583 from last week.
So this is peak season, isn't it, Kevin? And when does it end, typically?
Yeah, look, we generally see straight after the Australia Day weekend, the market starts to ramp up, and we see that go right the way through February. Then there's a sort of lull, if you like, in March. This year, of course, February has 5 auction Saturdays, and that's the first time that's happened since 1992. So February is set in aggregate to have quite a solid number of auctions.
So how does that affect prices, Kevin? When it is a hot market, it stands to reason that the sellers are going to do a bit better out of it than the buyers. But is that what you're noticing at the moment?
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, on last week that we've just reported, I mean, the clearance rate for Sydney was 75.4%. Now that's fairly steady for the last 3 weeks, but in Melbourne we saw quite a big uplift in the clearance rate, up to 76% from about 67% the week before. The prices, we did see very strong growth in the final quarter of 2019. Now that did moderate in January, but that's partially due to restricted market activity during January. But looking forwards, that sort of rate of growth is probably likely to moderate because wages growth is simply not occurring at the same pace as the house prices.
And how does that affect the rental market?
Yeah, so rents actually have grown. I think the national average is about 1.3% over 2019, which is a relatively soft growth. In Sydney, we actually saw rents fall by about 0.6%. But we are, for investors, seeing tightening yields, obviously, in Sydney and Melbourne as house prices escalate in advance of rental increases.
And Brisbane at the moment, where are things at?
Yeah, so Brisbane in 2019 second half saw a very slight softening of the market, but it really was quite slight, and it now seems to be back on a growth trajectory. In Brisbane, of course, there's a differential between the performance of houses and units, with the extensive supply of units having caused values of units to fall basically to 2010 levels, about 11.5% down on the peak.
All right, Kevin Brogan, appreciate your time this morning. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.